Thanks so much, you guys, for checking out the Urban Outlander. My name is Jordan. So happy to have you here. Hey, check out my videos on YouTube. You can subscribe if you'd like. You can also check me out on theUrbanOutlander.com. I've written some posts. I do these videos too. And you can check me out on Twitter, on Facebook. There are so many ways to connect and talk about Outlander. Always happy to do so. So really quick, you might be wondering, hey, Urban Outlander. So Urban, I'm in New York City. Outlander, hey, I love talking about Outlander. Whether it's the first book or it's the first and second season of Outlander on Starz, I just love all of it. But I haven't read the second book, Dragonfly and Amber, which season 2 is based on. I'm a DA virgin, I'm proud of it, but regardless, hey, when I do these kind of videos, I like talking about the themes. I like talking about the plots, and not so much a recap, but just some sort of questions and some thoughts that I had about each episode. And though I don't know what's going to happen entirely in season 2, I'm happy to talk with people who have or have not read the book. So join in the fun. Let's start. Episode 5? Oh, I can't believe it. Episode 5, Untimely Resurrection. Let's just talk about, oh, by the way, the kilt is back. Sorry, I just gotta put that out there. Jamie has brought back the kilt. Let's just praise him for that. Looks great. How funny that he brought back the kilt and we have Blackjack rearing his ugly head. How interesting that these two worlds have converged. Annalise talks to Claire about all things that she knew about Jamie when she was a lass and he was a laddie. And it's like, really, Annalise? I don't know. Apart from Annalise, walking through the garden with Claire and sort of challenging her about what she knew about Jamie when she was younger and hotter, I'm not entirely sure. I'm just a little confused about the purpose of that scene, other than to say that Annalise is walking Claire through the garden in order for them to stumble upon Blackjack. I don't know. I just sort of didn't understand Annalise's end game. Girl, why are we talking about this? It almost seemed like at times that maybe Annalise was in on something. I know she's not, but I don't know. The scene just didn't totally sit right with me. Regardless, let's talk about the good stuff. I have to be a little bit of a film geek about it. I work in production. It's natural for me to do this. But that shot of Blackjack when he first enters the scene is just so amazing and wonderful and beautiful. So he's a little obscured by some people in the garden, and then he just comes into the frame, and it's in slow motion, of course, for dramatic effect. But I just love the way he enters. I just thought it was so great, so brilliant. And even the music, when Annalise first comes to Claire, the music changes. It's ominous, and I don't know about you, but when it kicked in, I thought something isn't right here. I don't know how you were watching that scene unfold, but I was literally hiding behind a pillow and trying to just stifle my cries because I could scarcely breathe, and my breath, when I could breathe, was pretty shallow. It's just such an intense episode and an intense scene for sure. Tobias Menzies' performance, of course, undoubtedly, so nuanced, so powerful, so strong, and a delight to watch. You love to hate him, right? When he meets Claire and discovers that Jamie is around and he says, where? And it just sort of, every time, it sends chills down my spine. I've watched the scene a couple of times. I don't know how many times you've watched it, but it still sends chills down my spine when he's like, where? Freaks me out. Oh my God. And that part where he touches Jamie on the chest is, it's vile. And even Claire has a physical reaction when she sees that, and the music swells at that part too. And for me, I'm just crying out, don't touch him. Any movement Blackjack makes, particularly when Jamie is in the frame as well, is just under scrutiny, and you're watching every single maneuver, eye look. It's just so rich and such a heavy scene to watch, but I keep watching it over and over again because it's just so good. So I gotta kind of poke some holes into Blackjack being in Paris plot. So first, there's the Duke. So we already know that the Duke and Blackjack are like this, right? So wouldn't the Duke have been like, hey, I've run into the Frasers. They're here in Paris. Why don't you stop by? I don't know. That's just one thought. Oh, and by the way, the Duke at the horse show, at Versailles at the horse show, and then Blackjack's next door at the Gardens. I don't know, it's just too much of a coincidence. And what about Alex? So in my mind, I'm like, Alex Randall keeps running into people who know his brother. And when he's been like writing letters to his brother post haste and saying, hey, I've run into a few people you might know. I just sort of feel like, is it really that much of a surprise that Blackjack wouldn't know that the Frasers were in town? I don't know if the book talks about this, but to me, it's just a little bit not supported. It just doesn't, I don't know. Am I overthinking it? Should I just whistle past all of this? By the way, Claire knows the date of his death. Remember? I mean, has she ever told Jamie this? Does that mean anything? I don't know. I mean, there's just so many questions, and I don't know. You tell me. Should I just forget it? Should I just move on? Does this ever come up again? I don't know. Let's go on to other things. So, of course, we got to talk about Jamie and Claire. This is the Jamie and Claire show. The bookends to this episode are so interesting. So it opens with, on a high, Jamie and Claire they're in love, they're affectionate, they're kissing each other, you know, they're working together, they're connected in that way that we love to see them in, right? And then it ends, before it ends, Jamie gives that great line of when she is talking about her insecurities about being a mother, and he says to her, you know, whatever you don't ken, we'll learn together. Just so lovely, just so nice, right? But then at the end, they are emotionally and physically distant from each other. And now we're back to feeling the hurt, and the space between them is so vast and so grand. The resurrection, if you will, untimely resurrection, the resurrection, if you will, of Frank rears its head in this episode in a big way. Claire has that line of, he must exist. Oh, I just love the way Katrina Balfe delivers that line. He must exist, because to me, obviously, she still has a love for Frank, and of course it's different than her love for Jamie, but there's still that sympathy, that caringness that she has, and it's a love that is still so deep that she needs to have Jamie make the sacrifice for her. This, of course, is a huge, strong test in their relationship, perhaps bigger than what happened to Jamie at Wentworth Prison. This is, I don't know if it's the ultimate test, maybe it is the ultimate test, that of course Jamie ever so gallantly says, okay, I'll give you a year. Throughout the season, you know, there's so much tension and heartache that's been happening between the two of them. And then there was this peak in last week's episode where they reunite, and it carries over into this episode. But now at the end of episode 5, we're back down in this sort of gray area. Are they going to be able to rise above? Can they stick through it? And the sacrifices they make are huge, and it makes the stakes higher between them. I noticed that they don't say I love you very often, but they say it in this episode, and I think in the first season they say it once to each other as well. You know, maybe they're just that one of those couples that don't need to say it all the time. But in this episode, when they do say it to each other, there's this contentment, there's this peace, and it's almost like when they do say it to each other, there's a weightiness to it. You know, of course they love each other, but when they actually say those words, it's impactful, and it's really a sort of a symbol, or signifies where they are at that point in their relationship, how deep their bond is with one another. He has that line, you know, must I bear everyone's weakness? Can I have my own? It's just almost, for him, again, to be so vulnerable and claim it is such a strong element of his character. And it's just, of course, just great performances between the two of them. I keep watching that scene over and over and over again and never getting tired of it. It leaves me breathless. And of course I love to speculate, you know. I may not have read the book, but I don't know. I'm left with questions of, will Alex actually follow through and break up with Mary? Will Mary find out that Claire was in on Alex, you know, making this decision, and how will that affect Claire and Mary's relationship? And is Saint Germain really in on that attack in the alleyway? Because I'm wondering that he's not. I mean, I don't know. They're trying to make it that he is, of course, a bad guy, but that he was in on sending these guys to attack those lasses, but I feel like he may not be. Sign up for the YouTube channel, check me out on Twitter and on Facebook. Next week I'm not going to have a video, I'm going to be out of town. But I'm going to write a post on episode 6. Can you believe it? Episode 6. Ah, it's happening so fast. I'm going to write a post on my website, so sign up for my newsletter. We can stay in touch. Thanks so much again, and why don't you come